So, what episode is this?
53, if I remember
53,
correctly.
The big 5-3.
Mm-hmm.
Something special about 53.
Nah.
Nothing.
Not really. 54 would be like Studio 54. 55, nothing. Oh, no, it's speed limit. You can't drive 55. Sammy Hagar.
I'm trying to think of what it's divisible by.
53?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a prime?
It might be.
I think it's
That's
a
what
prime.
I'm trying to think about right now. I can't.
I think it's a prime.
Yeah.
Is it a prime? Greg, can you Google, is 53 a prime number?
I can do that.
On his laptop computer. Surfing the web, as you do.
Yes.
Nice.
53 is a prime number.
So can you also Google stab eyes COVID hoax?
Debunking COVID-19 myths.
Wait, was this one of the myths?
I don't know. It says spraying alcohol or bleach on your body won't kill viruses that have entered your body, just in case you didn't know.
Right, but what about stabbing your
It
body?
doesn't say.
Yeah, see, that's...
It's Google AI. I think it says it's fine.
Is there such a thing as COVID eyes? Is the first thing that people also ask.
Wow.
Like, is it like bedroom eyes, but
COVID
COVID?
can cause conjunctivitis.
Never got that.
Yeah, me
of,
neither.
Of the mix
The
of
virus
symptoms.
infects the outer layer of the eye. Dude, I don't want COVID eyeballs.
Yeah, I don't like that.
No.
That sounds nasty.
No.
I don't like that at all. I regret Googling this already.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it's 2025. We're
Yeah.
in the newest edition of years.
We're recording this a couple of days into
Mhm.
2025. So 2024 is in the rearview mirror. It's behind us.
We've made it through the year of Blade Runner.
It's true.
Mm.
We have.
Did we?
We're beyond Blade Runner now.
So wait, Nick, you suspect we're not actually out of 2024?
I think we skidded through it, and its remnants are still trailing behind.
Oh yeah. Oh,
But
a lot.
isn't it always like that?
Kinda, yeah. Especially on an election year.
Yeah.
Like we're going to be paying for 2024 very soon. The bill's coming for that debt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's no question.
The thing is, though, 2024 was a dumpster fire.
Hmm.
But personally, I actually had a pretty decent year.
Yeah, there were a lot of ups with the downs. Personally,
Yeah.
like I don't look back on it with malice, like I
Yeah.
do 2023 maybe, which was just kind of like fucked.
Right. Yeah, me and my partner did some traveling. I played like 5 or 6 shows, got a lot of stuff done. Did a lot of bicycling, which I really enjoyed. Did my first bicycle camping. I realize 2024 for everyone else.
Oh yeah, world events wise, that's
Yes. That's a
whole other thing.
don't Google that, Greg.
I'm not.
2024
Mm-mm.
world events.
Nope.
You won't find any good ones.
Greg, how was your 2024?
A mixed bag.
Hmm.
I can't complain though.
Yeah.
There were some ups and downs for sure.
Right.
I did more traveling than I ever have.
Yeah.
Nice.
Went international for the first time. Checked out France and Switzerland. Checked out some synths in a wallpaper museum in the middle of Switzerland. I mean, it was neat. Some shit I've never done before.
Yeah.
Checked out the Giger Museum. Fun times like that. I won't get into the negative shit, but those were some of the highlights.
Right.
I would say. You know.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good music this year. There's a lot of music, and not all of it's great. But I feel like
Most of it is not great.
yeah, I mean, just by the numbers. But I feel like there was a lot of stuff that I'm like, damn, this is good. I really dig this. Across the board too, not just electronic stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I felt like this was like a good year for music. Wait, you seem like you disagree strongly.
I just keep thinking about the Eras tour and how much I enjoyed Tay-Tay's
Right.
performances.
Right. So were you there?
Yeah. Yeah. I followed that shit like the dead. Acid every time too.
Yeah.
It really makes it better.
Were you just trading beads out of your van for tickets?
Yes, yeah. For peanut butter sandwiches and nitrous and Taylor Swift posters.
I don't recall much good music this year, to be honest.
Really?
I was trying to think of like what my favorite tunes of the year was, and I wasn't coming up with much. Most of it was released prior to 2024. Yeah, I don't know. I've been
Okay.
listening to a lot of black metal and death metal this year.
There's been incredible black metal and death metal this year. Like
Oh, yeah.
the Blood Incantation record is fucking unfuckwithable.
See, that's the thing. I don't know what was actually came out this year or not. Like, I find stuff when I find it, and I don't know if it's like fresh or not. So I can't really speak to any releases that definitely came out this year.
I see. That's fair.
Yeah. No, I know as far as the realm of like experimental music without many beats, it was a crazy year. There was like just so much insane music this year. It felt like.
Totally agree.
Lots.
Yeah.
I didn't hear much techno, not that I've been listening to too much of it that I liked, but like as far as experimental stuff, crazy.
100% agree. I felt like there was like, especially during the summer, like 1 or 2 a week.
Yeah.
It was like, there was enough of it that I was like, I'm feeling really confident about where this shit's going. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
So with that, do we want to talk about 2024?
Yeah, what were
not really.
We usually do the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
To some degree. I don't have too much ugly, actually. I was trying to come up with my list the past couple days, and like, there's some stuff that I personally didn't gel with, but not too much that I was outright like.
I have 2 things.
Pissed about.
I have 2 things that I would say that I was. The more I thought about them, the more I got pissed.
Yeah.
And I have no skin in these games. They didn't affect me personally, but I was like, I'm okay with both of these things dying here.
Kick it off.
I will start off with, one of them is kind of obvious. Teenage Engineering, the OPXY.
Oh, yeah. That was the first one that came to mind when I was like, oh, I bet you're going to mention one of those.
Yeah, that was just a strong fuck off. I think we talked about it before. I think it's a miss across the board.
Yeah.
I just fuck off.
People seem to like it, but the price is steep.
It's out of control.
Yeah, it doesn't do light any fires for me when I read about it and like see it. I'm like, oh, like that's cool that people are into it, but it does nothing for me.
It intrigued me for a moment until I saw the price tag, and I've yet to see a single video that can demonstrate like anything worth that price. Like.
That is 100% how I feel, because you're right. There are people that are enjoying it and they seem to be like having fun using it. Mm-hmm. But to Greg's point, I also have not seen that thing where I'm like, oh, you made something with this and this sounds fucking great.
Yeah.
You have now illustrated the power and capability of this thing. Still haven't seen that.
I was going to say, even my cousin, who is like a big Teenage Engineering fanboy, like he immediately bought one on pre-order. He got it. And then I remember him linking me a video to Ricky Tynes video and being like, who the fuck is this guy and why does his video suck so much? I'm just trying to find a decent video that shows how to use this thing, and all I'm finding is this guy's stuff and it's lame as shit. And I said, yep. I said, he's been kind of like an inside joke among us for a long time. Yeah. You're not going to get a good overview or loop hop level overview, from him or anything like that. I said, I'm not into his music. I'm not into how he uses things. But I guess he got a sweet deal with Teenage Engineering or something for this one, because he's the only one that has a lot of videos out about it, and they're all pretty mediocre at best. So yeah, he's just been trying to learn it on his own without relying on educational videos.
Has he come around to it? Is he warming up to it?
I'm not sure exactly. I think he's still trying to figure out where its place is in his setup. I think he said he's going to replace his Poly and Play with it now. He doesn't feel the need to have the Play if he has that. But he is keeping his Tracker Mini and some other things to try to work with it. But he has all the other Teenage Engineering stuff, so I think maybe he's finding a way to make it gel with all the other stuff.
Right, but for that price, you shouldn't have to shoehorn that into your workflow. That should be,
sure, I agree.
I plop this down, this is the workhorse. I'm getting work done with this thing.
It should be the centerpiece.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I look at that thing and I can see that some people would like it, but for me, my mind immediately goes to like, I already have a laptop with Ableton, and like this thing is just a little keyboard and a screen, which is so similar in my mind to a laptop. And it's kind of that, best camera is the one you have with you kind of thing.
Right.
It's like, I always have that. So why would I'd rather get like another MacBook than that. I don't know.
You can get a decently powered, completely usable, functional laptop for a fraction of the price.
Oh yeah. Especially now.
Right.
It's crazy out there.
And a more usable interface. I mean, the Trinket element of their interfaces is still just such a turnoff for me. Like, it really puts me off.
It's the only teenage engineering device that I think, just looking at some of the videos, I kind of feel like I would get along with the interface a bit, but not for that price. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like it kind of has some of the stuff going for it that I would have liked to have seen from the previous OP1 and all that. But, yeah, I've never really understood the hype around those, though. So it's got kind of a cult following, and I think I remember when the OP1 was announced and like everyone was jumping on them, and there was debate on the forums about why would you need this, and someone big in the modular scene, I won't name drop or anything, commented, if you don't know why you need this, you don't need this. And I was like, okay, that comment kind of puts me off to it altogether. You know what I mean? Like, it just, that seems like a cop-out answer to me to justify cultism.
Right. 100%.
But, you know.
So that's my first one. That's my first blah. I actually have the title of this category. This category is titled blah.
Yeah, mine was like, it was something similar. It was like, maybe, question mark? Like, nopes. Yeah. No, there's a nopes and a maybe.
I also have a mid, and it's in the middle. Yeah.
You want to go next, Greg?
You want me to go next?
Yeah.
I only have one thing in the blah category, or ugly category, whatever we want to call it this time. And for me, it's all of 2024.
That's deep as fuck.
Yeah. So do we want to dive into that?
That's a lot to bite off.
It is. So yeah, I have written down here, because as I was reviewing things that I thought were great throughout the year, that list was short, and but I realized that I didn't even have much to complain about either. Like, I feel like there was. I'm not trying to sound overly pessimistic or anything, but
that ship has sailed. I'm sorry, that ship has sailed. There's no way to come back from that. Not sounding pessimistic.
I feel like there was nothing that really blew my mind released in 2024 as far as gear goes, especially Eurorack. I feel like this was probably one of the most lackluster, boring years for Euro that I've seen in all of my 17 years that I've been in modular. They're just the grob factor was at an all-time high, I feel like, throughout the entire year. And I'm not entirely sure why. I just feel like maybe the times of something really innovative coming out every month has passed. And we're kind of in a lull for that sort of innovation, and we're just seeing a lot of things that are just mid or redundant, or just people, I don't know, trying to release modules to make their own system more complete. You know what I mean? From their own company, like the 100,000th envelope generator.
This is the thing we talked about 5 years ago.
Sure.
This idea of we don't need another VCA. We don't need some of these utility things that are just so bread and butter that have been done tens of thousands of times now.
And the flood of mediocre modules, like you're saying, that's nothing new.
Right.
But usually it was broken up by something innovative or creative or a must-have. I feel like 2024 brought none of that. Like, there was nothing that made me say, oh, I gotta have that in 2024. You know what I mean? Like, my modular purchases were next to nothing. I feel like all the innovation is coming from other areas right now, like pedals and just individual instruments. Like, there's a few companies that have my eye right now. None of them are modular. Landscape FM, Destiny Plus, even Polyend, Chase Bliss. Like, I feel like there's some interesting shit coming out from these types of people. Soma Labs. Like, that's the type of stuff that is really interesting me right now, and probably the direction I'm going to go for 2025. But yeah, like, I feel like all of 2024 was pretty mid.
I think we saw one of the horses of the Eurorack apocalypse in a sense too, in that, like, the last 2 years you saw the artist and influencer signature models come out for modules.
True.
And I don't think we'd really ever seen that much before. And I think like 90% of the ideas are pretty much realized at this point. And you're seeing like these combinations of things like the Collide 4 and Heinbach and like these groupings of things more so than any one singular innovation.
Right.
You know, like I don't think there's much left outside of extremely novel things like that.
One of the things that I have is something that's novel. It's the Blood Cells Mangle, which is it's a passive op amp. You're right module. I think it's really cool, but it is novel. My perspective is not so dire. There were some things that I got that I think were really great. I will say though, that list is very, very short.
Yeah.
Where other years it's like every episode we got something new to talk about, and it was like we could probably go full episodes without talking about something in modular because it was just a dearth for months.
Yeah, totally. Like that I think the first like pulsar synthesis module came out. I forget who made it, but the company, it's got like the sliders on it, if I remember correctly. And like the thing is, like I remember when I had the Nord module and tried pulsar synthesis, like is it actually that like going to yield that much, or is it just like you're kind of filling in one of the edges at that point? Like I know people have done some cool work with it, but there's like that point of diminishing returns with things like that, I think.
And you could even make an argument that like maybe now is the time for refinement on some of these old ideas and making them better or more, you know, like whatever positive spin you want to put on continuing to work on those designs. It doesn't seem like that's what's happening. Like Greg mentioned though, like if you're just filling out so that you've got a full fucking roster, that doesn't benefit me. That doesn't benefit anyone. That's a marketing gimmick. That's like you'll be able to create a full fucking company X system. No one gives a shit about that. That's not an interesting thing, and it never was. Don't spend any engineering time on that.
Yeah, and I really don't have any idea as to why it worked out that way this year. You know, maybe, I don't know, are components super hard to get again and expensive, or has everyone just been, you know, brainstorming throughout 2024 and we're going to see a flood of cool shit come out in 2025? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just seemed like 2024 was just kind of a dog shit year. I don't know.
Yeah. I think costs are up too, and it's making people more hesitant to like put the investment in to build something, let alone knowing if they're going to sell it. And people probably don't have as much to like do there.
Along those lines, one of the things that I thought was really interesting was, hopefully one of you remember what it was, but one of the pedal companies that I follow made their 10,000th pedal, and they were giving it away. And I was like, holy shit, modules are in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Like if a module sells 1,000, that's a fucking blockbuster. This is 10,000. 10? That's fucking...
I forget.
I sent it to both of you to complain about it.
Yeah, I remember.
Not a complaint, but to be like, this is remarkable. So I wonder too if you're going to put engineering time and costs, sinking costs into something, this may not be viable.
Right.
If you're going to do this, make it a pedal. Look into partnering with someone to make a synth box or a desktop box. I just wonder if this as it's always been niche, but it may be too expensive to continue down this path for much longer.
Yeah.
When you look at those numbers,
peaked?
I think there's an argument that maybe it has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the contrary, it's probably an excellent time for anyone trying to build a system, because the used market is at an all-time low. Like it's flooded and prices are dropping on everything.
Well, it's a race to the bottom on Reverb. You're like, I'm going to put this thing up on Reverb. There's already 200 of them up there. If you have any chance of selling, you got to undercut. And then you just basically eat everyone who adds to that corpus, just keeps making it lower and lower and lower. And then
you can get a Digitone 1 for like $300 now. I thought it was low at $400, and now it's definitely like the race to the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's a good time for people to stop worrying about the next new shiny toy and just focus on what already exists and piece together a nice, cheap system of secondhand modules.
Oh, 100%.
Or expand, your already existing system with things that you've been maybe lusting after for a few years, and now it's at a price point where it's, justifiable.
I think we're seeing some people run into like the limits of Eurorack too, and that, these things don't last forever, and sometimes you need to have them fixed, or like people who should know better with power supply issues and buying like Behringer power supplies and expecting that to not have problems eventually.
You know who you are.
Yeah, you know who you are. So I think there is going to be that pull back away from that stuff to more like, just sell me this thing and I can use it and I don't have to think about it again, like desktop stuff, which I get to. I love that shit too.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's kind of what is appealing to me right now when it comes to newer stuff. Like the Destiny Plus stuff, it's all semi-modular. It's banana jack, but it's still semi-modular, and they're like self-contained, highly experimental instruments that they seem really inspiring to me. The I can't say the word. Zwarsky Cells drum machine that they offer. Yeah, I'm like very intrigued by that. I have their Model Q2 on pre-order. I should be getting one from the batch this month.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Nice.
But all their stuff, like their entire lineup, which isn't huge, but everything they've released so far really has my attention. You know, things like the Landscape FM, like the Noon and all that. Like, I don't have one yet, but it's on my list of things to check out. Just little self-contained desktop units that seem to be interesting and experimental.
Yeah.
So we're going back to the 90s is what you're saying. A little bit of the groove box. The groove box
maybe.
is coming back.
Yeah. With like knowledge from the recent years and modular and stuff informing that, which I think is pretty exciting.
I actually really like that idea too, especially with the semi-modular stuff, because like again, Deluge, I've talked about it a million times, but having that being this little groove box, sequencer and sampler, all the stuff I want in it, but also having CV in it just opens it up. Oh, so it really more and more of that I think is would be really exciting, not just limited to MIDI.
Yeah, fuck MIDI.
I like MIDI a lot.
So yeah, 2024 is...
It was a bit of a flop for me. That was
so you don't have there's no way you have a second item on that list.
I do not.
There's no, it would be encompassed by the first.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
That's my big complaint.
So Nick, are you going to be able to follow that up? Because those are big shoes to fill. An entire year.
I can. There are two things. One of them didn't work for me, and I talked about it before, was the Torso T1. I just didn't gel with it. So that was something I was looking back at, like, what are the things I got rid of or like didn't have for too long? And then I've got like a maybe that I'm still on the fence on that I haven't talked about much yet, which is the Noisite Warp Eurorack module, which is like a wavetable, in a sense, module that also has some machine learning on it. It has an expander, so you can play it 4 voices over MIDI or MPE, though, which was kind of the main thing that made me interested in it. There's not much info on this synth. You can find some, but I think to really get to the meat of it, you have to own one. And it's really like this 8-space grid of points that you can pick in different waveforms, and you can then have it morph between these things in a grid, essentially. And you can do different effects and have those mapped to this grid also.
Oh, that sounds cool.
It does sound cool, but in practice, like, I have a hard time finding a spot for it and things. It doesn't excite me very much. I almost sold it, and then I tried it polyphonically with MPE, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And it can do some things, but I'm just really not gelling with it too much. I think it was released this year. It's the quote first module with machine learning, which is whatever. Long story short, there's a mode where it'll take a waveform and try to, derive other waveforms based on that using machine learning, which is okay. I get a lot of samey results for it. Every time I plug in my Piston Honda, I'm like, oh shit, this is kind of what I wanted more. It's really polite the way you can affect it. Like the UX and the UI is good, but on the same hand, I don't really like using it too much because it's one of those things where I feel like I've like lost 10 minutes playing with this module. Kind of like the way I felt with the ER301, where it's like, okay, I'm in a world within a world now. And I don't like that with modular very much sometimes. I want to like use something kind of briefly to get it set up and then persist to like go to like the whole system that I'm working with. I don't like to lose my context and zoom in too much. So I don't think it's going to last for me. Other things have just taken over it. So it's one of mine that I'm like, it's good. Like it's one person that executed this really cool idea. Musically, I don't think it does much for me. The big advantage was it can use like bigger resolution wavetables because, there's kind of an inherent problem with a lot of wavetable synth with only like 256 points where if you pitch them down, the bass kind of disappears. This one doesn't have that problem, but it's also not hitting for me in enough of a way that I'm like getting any, like, I have not yet once been like, oh, had that moment where I was like really having fun with it. And then it was like rebooting because I realized I had exceeded my power supply specs a little bit on my Mantis when I had it on there. And so I took it out and I like haven't had the itch to put it back in place yet.
Can you imagine a scenario that someone else might get a lot out of it?
Yeah, I think if you're looking for something that you haven't found in another wavetable module already, and you really want to be able to create these like gridded maps of different wavetable points, again, like it's technically interesting, but is it musically useful to me? Does it solve any problems? Not really. But if you're making like, very technical bass music, you probably might be interested in it, like that, or a Zeekel Dimension, which also has like higher resolution, like Serum wavetables. So I don't know. It was something I wanted to try. I got a good deal on it. The expander is what kicked me over, but it's not like, again, it's something like there's a high technology factor to it, but I think as like an instrument for me, I'm just not into it. So it's kind of a minus for me. I didn't comment too much on things that I don't have because I can barely remember them when I think about it. I'm like, oh, if I don't like it, I'm not going to spend many cycles on thinking about it generally.
Oh, see, I had no problem going into things that I didn't have. I felt it was easier to shit on them because
That's fair.
Yeah. In fact, the next one I have.
What is that?
It's from 4MS. It is the meta module.
Oh.
So you started with hardware, and then VCV Rack emulated those modules, and then someone made a module that emulated the emulation of the original hardware. The inception factor of this. Mm-hmm. At first I was like, this is dumb. The more I thought about it, the more pissed I got. It's huge. It's a clunky interface. It costs way more than a laptop where you could just get and run VCV Rack. Mm-hmm. The CV interactivity with it is grossly limited. It doesn't need to exist. And I never owned one. I just conceptually hate this a lot.
Oh, Greg, I hope this is on your to-buy list.
It was, because you know how much I love VCV these days.
Yeah.
And at first, the novelty of it was definitely interesting to me. I was like, oh, cool. I could make a small VCV patch, load it into a module, or make several patches, load them into this module, and then like in a performance setting, switch these up on the fly and have control over them with my performance rig.
Yeah.
And then I had the thought that you just pointed out. I could just fucking have a laptop on stage.
Yeah.
Yes.
And run VCV Rack.
Yeah.
And don't need to have this thing taking up space in my modular.
It doesn't need to exist.
Yeah, I really wanted to like it. And since it's actually come out, I've barely glanced at it. Like, I haven't really felt inspired to pull my wallet out for it, because I'm struggling to justify its existence. So I guess I have to agree with you, Dave, even though this was something that I was originally kind of stoked for. Yeah. Kevin kept hyping it up to me too, because he knew what I've been doing with VCV, and he's like, this is going to be the module for you, and I'm like, yeah, I think it will be. And then I don't own one, and I don't see myself buying one anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because I guess it really doesn't need to exist.
Not really. I can see where obviously some people want it. I see on modular like people who are fucking hyped about it, who love using it, and that's great. But yeah, I come to the same thing where it's more that I use a laptop. I'm like, man, this thing's really powerful, and it's also like got its own redundant power supply. And if that thing fails, I could still use this instead of having all the eggs in one basket. There's a lot of advantages to distributed systems in that way.
And concerning CV, like you said, it's severely limited for the module.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you have a laptop and you have an interface that can, or even like an Expert Sleeper's ES9 or something like that in your rig, it's smaller than a 4MS meta module, and it will give you a lot more in and out CV and audio to VCV Rack with your hardware in a hybrid setup. So yeah, I think the money would be better spent on that type of interface than a meta module, personally.
I 100% agree.
Yeah. I love 4 milliseconds. But
Same here.
I'm like super hit or miss.
They made one of my favorite modules ever.
Same here.
Like the quad clock distributor is. I've never even remotely had to look at anything else when it comes to clock division and multiplication and distributing clock. When they nail it, I think they nail it.
Yeah.
This is a wild miss.
4 millisecond peg is still cold dead hands for me. First module I ever built, I was just using it last night, being like, God damn, I fucking love this module.
I still got a lot of love for the Enosk, even though I know a lot of people hate it, and I know Dave loves that name. But yeah, the ensemble oscillator. I think that thing.
Never heard of it.
No,
Enosk. I'm very familiar with.
God damn you both.
Which is available virtually now.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
In VCV Rec.
Yeah, this is definitely not just shitting on formats. This is, I think they do great work. This is,
but this seems to be a swing and a miss on their part.
At least for us, I'll be curious to see over time if like people still keep with it or if they just go to computers or something like that.
That's the last of my blah category. And I obviously, Greg, because you've taken the entirety, the concept of 2024.
I wrapped up the whole year and rolled it into a shit burrito.
Nick, do you have anything else in your blah and or ugly category?
No, I don't actually.
Do we want to move to mid then?
Before we move to mid, I would like to touch upon what we said in our previous 2023 wrap-up episode. Maybe what do they say? A little when you hearken back, a little reminiscing of
spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. Like what?
Just touch back on what we really enjoyed from 2023.
Oh, okay.
See if we still enjoy these.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And our projections for 2024, if they hit or not.
I hate being called out on this because I know I know there's gonna be something in there that I completely fucked up on.
You have a good one on that one, actually.
Oh, do it?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Do
you know it?
Maybe not. I'll let you.
Well, now I'm real fucking nervous.
I think you said that Make Noise would go under, or either you or I did, or both of us.
I think maybe we all did. I forgot about that. I have here in my notes that we projected a severe downsizing or consolidation of modular retailers because during our wrap-up episode last year, which was a bit late, it was like late January, early February or something. It was also when Patchworks was trying to raise $250,000. Through Kickstarter and all that jazz. And I have written down here that we predicted big market shifts and that certain manufacturers would also go under. But I guess that kind of didn't happen. I think we missed on that projection.
We were early.
Patchworks actually still exists.
Yeah.
It's like being run out of someone's living room now or something, according to
Cyrus.
Cyrus.
Shit.
He just went there the other day to buy something.
Interesting.
Yeah, he says it's also like 5 minutes from his house walking distance now.
That's evil.
Yeah. That's what I said. I said I don't think I would want to be within 5 minutes of any modular store. But yeah, I guess we kind of missed on that. We also, Nick and Dave, you both simultaneously projected that 2024 would be the year of the combo / man spreader module, replacing one-trick modules.
Not untrue.
With modules that can do multifunction.
I think that's pretty on point.
I think we nailed that one. Yeah. I think that one's a hit.
Man spreader.
And that was all I had down for projections. And then for our top picks last year, Nick, yours was the Waldorf M.
Oh, that stands. Yeah.
Just so stands.
Mine was the Chaseless Lossy, which I'm still pretty fond of. And you were the hex inverter mind phaser, or I guess Erica / hex inverter mind phaser.
I use the shit out of that to this day.
Okay, nice. So we're all still digging our top picks from last year. Okay.
Do you just use the Lossy plugin?
I'm using the plugin a lot now, and I will be rebuying the pedal probably soonish.
Nice.
I'm probably going to end up with the entire collection of newer Chase Bliss pedals again.
Oh shit. Okay.
Because I like them that much. Especially Lossy. I want to combine Lossy with Forward, one of their newer glitchy pedals, and see how those jive together. But yeah, okay. That was all I had. I just wanted to touch on our previous review and see where that still stood.
Note of those. That's interesting.
So, Greg, I got a question for you. Speaking of pedals,
Yes, sir.
have you taken a look at the Darkstar stereo soundscape reverb from Old Blood Noise Endeavors?
Very briefly.
Okay.
I watched the same video you're probably thinking of from the harp lady.
Emily Harpist.
Yes.
Yes.
And I thought it sounded good, but there's so many fucking reverb pedals out there right now.
There are.
It's hard for me to pick a winner, and it's hard for me to say like, oh, I really need this one, because there's so many that are already decent. Like I'm still kind of fond of the Cloudburst because it's so cheap and sounds great. I feel like that is a perfect reverb pedal for what I want out of a pedal when it comes to reverb. And this is kind of like ambient, big, dark, soundscape shit, which it seems like this one can do. That's what pretty well.
And when I was listening to it, I was like, this sounds like something Greg would really get into.
It did. And that was my first thoughts. I was like, oh, this is like my kind of reverb.
Right.
But I don't know if I want to spend the money on yet another reverb pedal is the question.
I tried that Walrus Audio slower one, and I still have it, but I can't say I recommend it. Yeah. Something about it, I don't know. It seems like it's one of those things that's not maybe kind of made for line level stuff, or it never quite sounds right to me. And dude, I use the Clouds reverb or this UAD plate reverb emulation like 90% of the time anymore. And I love the shit out of those. So I feel the same way about like reverb pedals like that. Like it has that kind of interesting pitch effect on the reverb, but I don't know. I'm going to sell it pretty soon. Yeah, it's a lot of reverb pedals, but that one you just showed looks interesting.
We may have talked about this in the past. I would love for someone to start doing or have a channel dedicated to synthesizers and pedals.
For real.
Because like I end up going to the Emily Harpist one because she's the only person who tends to not run a guitar through a pedal. Yeah. And I can't extrapolate what a synth going through a pedal is going to sound like from you playing Stairway to Heaven on a Fender.
I could like hear the dude with long hair sitting back on his guitar playing like the open chord, like yes. Did you hear that modulation? It's like, no, it's through your shitty fucking guitar. No, I don't hear shit right now.
That is exactly it. Yes. Like, and they stop and he's going, oh yeah. Like, oh God. Oh.
I want to hear a wavetable through that thing, man.
Exactly. Yes. So if anyone's out there looking for a YouTube channel to start, I will sign up immediately if you can start paring down all of these fucking pedals, because there's a million of them, to the ones that I want to get and pair up with a synth or a drum machine. I'd smash that subscribe button, Greg.
Maybe we need to do it.
Maybe.
I don't got that kind
Maybe
of time.
There's a niche we can fill.
I mean, if you did it, I would.
Sysex Dumpster.
Yeah.
But no, the Darkstar 3, it did catch my eye. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it and don't know if I will.
How much is it?
300.
Okay. That's about what those things go for, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like that it has the pitch shifters on it.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. But
okay, so can we move to mid now?
Sure.
I don't even have much mid.
I don't have mid. I have just my top 3 picks.
Yeah.
I mean, this is me just like grumbling about some shit that I don't really have a right to grumble about.
Well, by all means, grumble away, sir.
You know what? That's never stopped me in the past. All right, so my mid, Ableton Move. $450 is better spent literally anywhere else. Fucking 4-track, absolute pointless. I don't understand who it's for. I can sort of see if you're a DJ who likes to have something else there to go with it. Again, $450 will buy you something a lot better than that, though. I don't get it. I put it in mid just because I can see a little bit more utility than everything else I mentioned. But I don't really understand what Ableton is doing with this.
See, I might get one, but not for me. Yeah, your face is good there. Not for me at all. I have that does not appeal to me at all. For Steph, my partner, it might be the thing that's like, okay, you can sketch this out enough and do this like really quick import into Ableton that makes it a lot less intimidating for you. Someone who's got not much production experience in that way. It's the only use case I can see. Everything else, and another one of those things where every video I've seen, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's why it's in the mid and not in the block. Because I think there is a space for it. That someone is going to get this, and it is going to be a launch pad for them to make music, do some cool stuff, and then possibly be like, okay, I've hit the wall on this.
Yeah.
In a year or two, what is that next step? I think the dumping of Ableton moves at the end of end of 2025 is going to be severe. Like,
it seems like there are hardware issues too with the actual metal on it. So a lot of people have been returning them, and they're supposed to have another batch with some fixes in it or something like that. Yeah, equally, it's when it was being teased, I was like, oh, they made a Game Boy. Yeah, that's their thing, but it's too big for that.
Yeah.
The M8 is way smaller and very powerful, and that would be, if I really wanted something really small to take around, it would probably be that thing.
100%. Yes, totally agree.
Not Move.
Yeah.
Like for the case where like you have to be okay using like preset kits to flesh something out, which I think none of us here are on that page, essentially.
What do you mean?
I know. I'm sorry. You're all stock Fruity Loops.
You can make
kits.
music without presets?
Yes.
Can I learn this power?
No. Nothing you have facilitates that.
Yeah, I just want to grumble about it. Again, it's somewhat similar to like the 4MS thing of like Ableton. I use live exclusively for my DAW. Like I love Ableton for a very like decades now.
Yeah,
this
huge
is not a slight on Ableton as a company or as they make great products. This was a miss. This was a what are you doing? Why did you bother with this? And like compared to like the Push, which obviously costs a lot more, that is a powerful tool.
Oh yeah, Push is insane.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I think Ableton 12 was this year, wasn't it?
I think it was. Yeah.
It was one of Ableton 12 is by far the best release they've ever put out. Like it's awesome. I fucking love it.
I haven't upgraded yet. It's on my list of things to do. That list of new features. I mean, do you want to talk about Ableton 12 real quick?
I didn't have any notes on it, but I can't yet. Just some of the way you can like have devices inherit the master scale, like solved so many things for me, and that opened up so many doors. I'm trying to think of some of the other significant features, and I'm spacing out right now. But yeah, there's a lot in there. Some of the arrangement changes and the way that you can affect MIDI now. Some of that's really powerful.
I did just put you on the spot. So, yeah.
It wasn't on my list. I actually forgot about it because it's so like Ableton's just like, oh, of course I'm going to use Ableton forever.
I still don't use it. 12 almost got me to buy it until I saw the price.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then I said, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll stick to my FL Studio, which I paid for one time and has been getting free updates for life.
Nice. I can't imagine using anything else at this point.
No. Even the like shortcuts to the last record, like for arrangement and stuff. Now I'm like, that's so nice.
Every once in a while, I'll try Bitwig and be like, "You're too different."
I tried.
Yeah,
you still can't scrub the timeline in the thing. It's just a killer for me. I can't even imagine working without doing that, unless I can like easily skip to different sections of a song like that with a mouse drag. Like that's. And they refuse. They're like, no, we're never going to add that. I'm like, cool, okay, I'm good.
I still have yet to try Bitwig, but it did have my attention for a minute.
I like the idea of like the Renegade Ableton live. Like I like that as an idea, as a concept, and borrowing so much from it, it appealed to me. But every time I tried, I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of like Photoshop at this point. All of those shortcuts, all of that workflow is so embedded in my head that any deviation from it, even if it's an improvement.
Right.
It's too much of a burden for me. I'm too old to learn new tricks.
Yeah. And the way that they handle monitoring latency is different across programs too. And you have to get used to that if you want things to be in time. And it's just like, I can't even think about that anymore. Right. I just like have this thing that works, and you'd have to fight me to get me to change.
Same
kind
here.
of.
Yeah. So all right, now we're at the top of the list.
We're at the bottom of the top.
So Greg, since all of 2024 was shit for you, do you have anything at the top of your list? Did anything rise above?
I have 3 things to talk about, but I do not have a number 1.
Oh.
I have a number 3. I have a 2A and a 2B.
Why did you do that?
because there was nothing good enough to warrant being number one for 2024 for me.
Hence the 2024 being
But isn't
card.
2A inherently just one relabeled?
No.
Is this like the Spinal Tap thing of like it goes to 11?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my list only goes to 2.
B.
Because I thought it would be hypocritical to say that something was a top pick while also saying that the year was shit.
Fair.
Yeah.
So I decided to limit it to 2B and 2A.
Okay, you know what?
And at number 3.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. Remember, we go 3, 2B, 2A.
Yes.
It's reverse.
Well, actually, I only have 2 things on my tops. So,
Oh.
What the fuck?
well, how many do you have?
Well, I would say a
Depends.
mid could have been a number 3.
No. I don't want Ableton Move to be on the top. My mids were more low.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, what I'm getting at is whoever has the most should probably go first. So, Nick, how many do you have?
I have 2.
And you just gave me shit
Effectively.
for having 2.
Yeah. Well, I changed it up. I'm like, 2. Because one of them wasn't even released this year, even though that's my one.
Wait, what?
My third pick wasn't released this year
Okay.
either.
What the fuck
but
are
it was
you
new.
doing?
But we've established this in the previous years, Dave,
Yeah,
that
we have.
that we're flexible with this.
Yeah.
Time is a flat circle.
If it's new,
Mhm.
time is a flat circle.
That's fair. Yeah. I'll accept that.
If it's new to you for the year, then we'll count it.
I do have one that was new this year.
Okay.
Do you want to start there? It's kind of utility-ish.
I say go for it.
All right. It's the Board Brain Optics V2. It's their ADAT module that they did a V1 of that had some issues. Apparently some of the lower channels had like more noise or something like that. Regardless, they made a new one and it's fucking sick. It is awesome for sending CV and gates from the computer into the modular and audio signals. And it's like I've got 8 more recording inputs on top of my interface and quiet as fuck. I think when it's just sitting there, like the noise floor is like negative 95 dB or something like that.
Holy shit.
Which is no surprise because the Boardbrain Exelon is the quietest mixer I've ever used, regardless. Like modular or like desktop mixer. It's just they really fucking killed it. I don't even think about it. It's just hooked up to my audio card over ADAT and it works great. That's it. They killed it. Love that you can switch audio and CV. I know Expert Sleepers did their version pretty much a week or 2 before. They were like trying to scoop each other effectively. Little different feature sets. Glad I went with the optics. It's almost not much to say because it just sits there doing its job.
Right.
Like 2 thumbs up. Love the board grain gear.
Why over the Expert Sleepers?
For me,
Yeah.
partially it was because the audio CV switch. I think you can do that on the Expert Sleepers, but it's on the back of the module. On the Expert Sleepers, I think that has the advantage of you can set an input to line level,
Okay.
which would be useful to me, but I kind of get around that. In some ways, it's not like a big deal. My line level stuff generally goes into the Exelon anyway.
Mm-hmm.
This is for recording like modular voices and things that are modular level, like straight back in. But a lot of it, like sending clocks gates, it almost takes over some of the stuff I was doing with the Expert Sleepers FH2 MIDI interface, even though I use those 2 in tandem. They're actually like next to each other.
Oh, okay.
That's like the Hapax goes into the FH2 and that sends all the signals from there. Ableton basically manages all the optics stuff, and I can use like Max for Live plugins and send those into the modular now, which opens up like crazy sequencing stuff. I was thinking of expanding my modular sequencing and actually the optics with Max for Live stuff. There's an even better Euclidean generator than that module I talked about last month that ATOV project made, which is still cool, but I never use now because I just use the Max for Live one. That's even nicer in some ways. They're both cool.
And it's all seamless. There's no latency.
Yeah,
Like
dude, it's perfect. It's
Oh,
the
nice.
exact latency of my audio card already since it's ADAT. So
Mhm.
it's just like all in sync perfectly, kind of. They killed it and works really well. No complaints. The sound quality is awesome. Eat both ways.
fucking awesome.
Really, it's the easiest way. I was running out of the alternate outs of my sound card into the modular, which would cause some like issues with UAD's like mixing software. Like it could cause feedback. It required more setup. This is like really easy. I just point the Ableton channel to the optics output and it like, goes into the modular, process stuff, send it right back in. It's awesome. Yeah, really dig it. Big recommend.
Very nice. Greg, would you like to go next?
Okay.
This is 2C or something, some
3.
bullshit. Oh, this is 3.
And it's only 3 because it wasn't actually a 2024 release. But Norn's Shield.
Oh, nice.
From Mono.
Wait, so real quick, can you give like a quick explanation as to what it is, 'cause for someone who may not know what it is?
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, it's like for arrows being shot at you, you need a Norn shield.
Yeah.
Oh, good point. Okay, go ahead.
Deflect
shield,
Yeah.
deflect arrows. Yeah.
deflector shield. Yeah. No, it's a weird little box that runs scripts.
What's the scripts written in?
I don't
Is
remember.
it Python?
I think it's
Bash script?
Python.
Python and
Yeah.
or C.
Okay.
It's
not Tickle.
I don't remember seeing that being mentioned.
Dear God, I hope it's not Tickle.
I think it's
Is
Python.
that a thing?
Yeah, Tickle was
Yeah.
like in the mid '90s. It's
Oh.
TCL. Yeah, it's garbage.
Oh.
But yeah, I finally got one. I received one from my cousin as a early Christmas present.
Nice.
He bought 2 of them from Pusherman, and one for himself and one for me. He's using his mostly as a sequencer.
Right.
He's running like sequencing scripts and all that jazz. I haven't even touched upon that. I haven't even hooked a MIDI connection up to it. I've just been using it as a standalone generative noise box / drone machine.
Okay.
Very, very simple interface. It's 3 buttons, 3 knobs. That's all you get.
And there's a tiny little screen.
Yep.
Tiny little screen.
Yeah.
Um,
Monochrome.
yeah. But it's neat.
Wait, what are the actual jack interfaces on it?
Oh, you got an audio in, an audio out, a USB. I think there's an Ethernet
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
port. Because it's all Raspberry Pi.
Pi.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I forget what else you got on there. That might be it.
I think that's it. Because I built
Yeah.
one from Pusherman too because I already had the Raspberry Pi.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had to buy the other stuff and put it together. It took like 10 minutes to put together. I haven't dug in too much yet though.
I haven't dug into it a lot either. I haven't had it very long. Like I said, it's been a Christmas gift, but I took it with me when I went to the Outer Banks a couple weeks ago. Tried to dive into it a little bit. I just loaded it up with scripts that I had no idea what they were. I just sorted I filtered out any that were like sequencers or standard utility things or anything like that. I just wanted to focus on the synths and the generative ones. Filtered out any effects to it.
Do you run one script at a time, or is
Yes.
it like multi-process?
Yeah.
It's not
No.
multi-threaded or anything.
No.
Okay.
And a lot of these scripts kind of push it to its max already. So yeah, I don't think you'd be able to like dual run anything. But yeah, I've just been focusing on like the more generative experimental scripts. Like there's one called Overwintering. It's a generative drone script that builds patterns based on bird migration patterns in
cool.
Europe. And you can select different birds, and so it'll bring up different patterns.
Wow.
And yeah, it's
like
pretty neat. It's very strange. It pulls these migration maps from the Euro Bird Portal, which maps sightings across Europe by date.
This is not at all where I thought this was going.
So
like this was a hell of a plot twist.
Yeah. So it'll take these sightings of birds and sort them into clusters to generate musical chords based on their position.
Wonder if it's using like Merlin data, because that's the big like crowdsourced bird watcher app.
I'm not sure. But in the footnotes, it says stats are based on the area of the sightings and covering and the density of these sightings to drive the synth parameters. It also generates triggers from across the map that translate into short, like percussive melodic sounds when sightings are nearby. So it's like ever changing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If you have this thing hooked up to like your Wi-Fi,
right,
it's pulling this data down. So I thought this was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a few other weird ones out there. That's one that I'm liking the most so far, just because it's so unique.
Yeah.
The other one, I'm trying to remember the name. Something Nightmare. I think I have it in my notes. Hold on. Nameless Nightmare. It's a granular synth that you just load up a little WAV file, and it'll generate different engines that are based off of the planets in the solar system and do different weird granular stuff to it.
So I got a question.
Yes,
Are
sir.
you allowed to make a Norns script that isn't batshit crazy? Like, can you just make it based on like musical theory or something? Like,
there's a few that seemed pretty mediocre. There's not many. Like the Norns repository is pretty small, I guess you could say, considering the time that it's existed.
Right.
But yeah, the ones that do exist so far seem pretty batshit crazy. And that's what was appealing to me.
Yeah.
Because they're unique scripts. They're all community driven.
Mm-hmm.
And the box itself, it's so tiny, like it's easy to take with me wherever I go, or have on my desk. It's not taking up much space. The OS itself has an onboard compressor and reverb.
Interesting.
It's a nice touch to have, but I feel like it's not enough. But it's cool. It can function totally standalone as like a weird little ambient synth / drone maker. But personally, I feel like it pairs well with pedals, of course.
Right.
And that's probably why I'm going to be expanding my pedal arsenal once again, is for little things like this.
Right.
I don't know. Like, instead of relying on a module that only does one thing, I think it's cool to have this one or two of these on your desk that can function as, a fully self-contained instrument.
Right.
I know a lot of the scripts too are meant to have a launchpad or monom like hook up to the Norns Shield over USB too. Using like the button grids on those.
Which, to note, I do not. I don't have a monom. Don't really plan on getting one. I'm just focusing on scripts that can just function on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Cyrus, my cousin, he doesn't have a monom, but he's using things that can function as such.
I just use Launchpad, the Novation ones that are like $70 or something.
I know he has a couple controllers. But that's my number 3. Norns.
Wow, that's actually sounds pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for mine, I talked about this recently, but Polyend Tracker Plus, basically what the tracker should have been. I talked about it at length on one of our recent episodes. So I won't go too much into what I've already talked about. However, up until now, I've been using Tracker and Tracker Plus for live sets. So it's a bunch of these different patterns, and I play them live and switch between them. But I now have a tracker full of these patterns. For my next record, I'm turning those into songs. I'm actually going to release some of these things I've been playing live. So I've been dipping a lot into the song mode, which I had really not touched that much. I had read about it and was like, okay, that's there. I know it's there. Now that I've been using it a lot, it's fucking great. I really like the way their song mode is a very intuitive way to do things. I wish there was a way to do per track on and off in song mode. It's been easy to overcome by just making another pattern.
Yeah.
With what I want. That's
I see.
It's a minor complaint. One of the things that I think is really cool is you can do exports. And not only can you just do an export of the entire song, you can do multi-track export.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah, so you basically finish a song, then do a multi-track export. I can then load that into Ableton and edit like I normally would.
It's a good way to get around
That's
the
awesome.
fact that it only has a stereo output.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yes. Because otherwise I was going to have to do things like,
one
solo
track.
solo a track, export it, and then line them up later.
Yeah.
It was doable, but it was like, it's going to be a pain. This is one button. A minute or two later, I've got all of that readily available. So this is a device that I use the shit out of for live, and now it's working really well for song arrangement. So yeah,
Sick.
I don't need to get too much more into it. I just think they fucking nailed it. Love it.
Is it hard for you to get used to this tracker workflow, Dave? Have you ever used this workflow before?
How dare you?
Our audience can't see the eyebrow raise that I'm getting right now. I haven't gotten the Tracker Plus yet, but that's why I didn't put it on my list, because I don't have it yet, so I didn't feel like I could speak strongly of it. But it probably will be my next big purchase.
Right.
Definitely see it coming early 2025.
Nice.
Yeah, I really liked the old school one. I didn't like the mini tracker too much.
Yeah.
But Tracker Plus is definitely calling to me.
But
But again,
you both seem really productive with those too.
I love the workflow, and like you're saying, like I usually completely fucking ignore song mode on
Oh,
any
yeah.
any
Same here.
instrument I've ever owned, but I did love it on the tracker. So,
Yes,
yeah.
same here. I've also, even when I tried to use song mode in other groove boxes or other devices like that, it was so clunky. It was such a pain in the ass. I was like, fuck this. I'm just going to bounce it, do it in Ableton.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm like, oh, actually, I could theoretically just do the song in this.
Yep.
You know, like
Cool.
it's really that close to just being, like when I do bounce it out and start using it in Ableton, it's going to be just some minor EQing here and there per track, which if I wasn't being lazy, I could just do in Tracker. Yeah, that's it. That's mine. I'm starting at 2 because I didn't have 3. So,
And it's not worthy of a 1 because it's only a remake of something that already existed.
well,
Which
actually,
just harkens back to the fact that 2024 offered nothing unique and original.
actually, that might be true because my number 1 is also kind of harkens back to other things. But you might be onto something there.
Well, maybe one violation. That'll take me to my next one of the new and original. And I think it was released in 24. I'm not going to go super in depth on it, but the Make Noise Spectrophone, which I really fucking like a lot, actually. I'm not going to explain it. It's hard to explain. They just updated it in a way that makes scanning through the spectra that you can record into it much easier. I'll break it down like this. The sounds you can get out of it are fucking incredible. The FM and the resolution that Tom Airb put into like how the FM works is crazy. You can take an attenuator, like reduce it down really little and still get a huge variety of range in the FM. And the way it sounds is like great in that regard. I like using the spectrum modes. I think it's something that I can go to and I will get shit that I didn't quite expect that generally lines up with the music that I like to make. And it's something I'm going to be digging into for a long time. That said, there's a bit to remember. This is one where Make Noise's interface is like, how many updates are you going to do that you need to do it binary, the way you represent stuff? Like you could just have like 4 dots and then make them different colors because you're really going to do more than 16 of those over time. Like it's just hard. Like it's obtuse to remember which mode you have it in because it's based on colors and that's easy to forget. I know I'll get it over time. It's not in my case right now. It just was recently and I was taking sounds from it. It's a keeper. It's not often in my rack. I think they did a really unique job with it. I love the stuff that Tom Airb makes. I own a lot of it and find it to be useful for my music. So that's my brief review. I think it's a new-ish idea. Done really well. Not for everybody. Huge module. But I like it. It's one I'll be digging into for a while, as long as I have a modular, for sure.
I have a similar complaint about the Elmira 2 from Neutral Labs, which I love. It's fucking amazing, but with each new update, there's more shit. And their entire interface is based on colors and this like 4 code thing. So like if they had a new filter mode and you want to go from the default, you've got to remember the 4 code. Like you go like, I'm going to edit, I'm changing the filter and then tap in the 4 codes for that. And it's just like, and with each one, there's just more and more. And I'm like, fuck, I wish there was an easier way for you to have done this. You know, like there's something about that weird, like assumption that this is the only thing that I've got to remember in my life. That is not how adult brains work, man. Like it is.
No,
this is, I'm like by day, I'm like, fuck, did I like the yellow mode or the blue mode? No, it's the turquoise mode. Like, fuck that.
That's why I don't use a lot of my mutable modules outside of Typhoon with a lot of regularity, because it's like, dude, I don't even want to try to remember this again. You know, I want my modular to be pretty flat in that regard anymore. Like have really straightforward menus.
I have the codes for Monsoon posted on the wall behind my modular because I will never fucking remember those.
No.
And there's only like, what, 8?
Yeah, there's only a couple.
It's not that many. I can't remember them.
Yeah. And that's Typhoon Monsoon. That's the one that I'll persist with because I just fucking like it so much. It's still like I've tried beads against it a number of times now. I always go back to Typhoon. Something about the sliders and like the kind of relative muddiness when you're in the high quality mode compared to beads. Like, I don't know. I really like that module.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I still love Monsoon. And I think that's one of the only mutable instruments modules that I did memorize all modes, and I don't really have to reference anything for it. But
all right, what's 2 dots blank dot? What's light blank light?
Isn't that the resin?
There shouldn't be a blank one.
Yeah, there's like all of them, like the modes.
It goes your normal clouds mode. Then you have the looping delay. Then you have, or I'm sorry, no, it's the pitch shift.
Oh yeah.
And then you have the looping delay. And then you have spectral mode. So the next one would, I think, be the verb or Ollie-verb.
Ollie-verb. Yeah.
What's beyond that?
Cameral?
There's 3 more.
Next?
There's 3 more.
There's not in mine.
There's 3 more modes after that.
Yeah, Cameral.
Yeah.
Spectral Madness. Or
yeah.
Spectral Madness.
Spectral Madness.
I never use anything beyond.
So it's easy to memorize when you only.
When I only use 5. Yeah. I forgot about the Cameral and all that jazz.
I have mine in regular clouds mode a lot.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I didn't when I first got it because I'm like, I want the cool new shit.
Same here.
And I'm like, wait, that's right. This is actually clouds
the cool
too.
thing. Yeah.
All right, sorry for putting you on the spot too, Craig.
No, I actually forgot all about those modes. You're right. Yeah, there's a bunch that I don't use.
Yeah,
I guess and forgot all about.
It's so often right now just use it for the one knob reverb because something about that reverb just fucking hits.
Oh yeah, no, it's great as just a reverb too. I agree.
Just the way it's like input dependent. It's just like, okay, damn, this is generally kind of what I want.
Yeah.
There's so many things that rip off that reverb too. Well, I guess it's not a rip off; it's open source. But
yeah, it's in Effects too, but it's not quite the same.
Right.
Yeah.
As much as I love and use Platt still, that has always bothered me that it doesn't have the little screen that Braids did, and I feel like it would be such a better module if it did.
Oh, totally.
Just trying to remember all those modes is not easy, especially after they introduced the orange modes. I'm like, what the fuck are these again?
Yeah.
It's like,
I love the orange modes, but they're just right past the threshold for like easy. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, one of you's the carrier, one's the mod. Like it just and like, are you the third one down or are you the fourth one down?
Yeah.
Now at this point, a lot of times it's just by ear.
Yes.
I'm like,
that's how I do it by ear. Because when you get to the block of like, now it's a full DX7 synth, and it's like, oh wait, what are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just turn these until I get something I want.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who does that.
You're not alone.
Yeah, I feel like if any module deserves a little screen, it's Platt's.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, and like you said, Braids did like a good job of that. That was very straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that was your number 2?
Yeah, Spectrofilm. Yep.
Craig, what's to be subset I asterisk?
It's a newer one. Befacto Honoroi.
Oh,
interesting.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
I was surprised how much I'm liking this thing.
That's a big boy.
It is.
Yeah.
Are
does
you
a lot.
VCV in it? Or you
slightly.
Okay.
But it's kind of awesome on its own. It even has its own modulation.
Wait, you have the hardware one? Is what I'm saying?
No.
Okay.
I bought the... Yeah, I guess I should clarify. I think they're both the same, but I bought the VCV rack version.
Sweet.
But I could definitely see me getting a hardware one to have in a performance rig and slapping it in a little rack as like a live drone noisemaker.
And is this a recent purchase? Because you haven't talked about this yet.
No, I just got it, I want to say like a week ago.
Oh.
I think over Christmas break, I decided to jump into it.
Yeah, it's not been out as VCV for too long.
But I kind of love this thing.
Nice.
Yeah, it's surprising me. In a hardware rig, like I was saying, like I could definitely see it being paired with like Befacco Noise Plethora. And like I could see building like a little Befacco rack and like their little stereo mixer and a channel strip maybe.
Yeah.
I think this is the coolest thing Befacco has ever released. And I have not found bugs in it so far, which is nice because I have in the past with some of their other stuff, especially the virtual ones. It's a full self-contained drone and noise voice. It's got everything you could need Pretty
and
much.
I know you were looking for that because remember
yeah,
you were.
I was considering the Elmira, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And what else? I tried the fucking Strega, which I hated. But yeah, I won't go full into it because I'm not super versed with it. But I've definitely been enjoying everything I've been making with it. So,
So listeners should stay tuned.
Yeah.
For your full review later.
Yeah, I think I'll do a more in-depth overview of why I like this thing.
There was the VanEck X too, which is what I think was maybe slightly similar.
That's what I was going to get, and then I didn't because I couldn't get it.
I almost did. They were at Perfect Circuit for a minute, but I was like,
yeah,
no, too much baggage. I don't want you.
No, yeah.
But you're digging this thing so far.
I'm digging it so far. It has like an onboard looper. It has the looper can record the output, which then turns it into a wavetable that you can scan through. So it's like a pseudo wavetable synth that has a sine oscillator on it that you can detune. So technically, it's like two sines. I think it's controlled by the same thing.
Gotcha.
Super saw.
So I do have a question for you because a lot of the videos I've seen so far was very high end centric, like a lot of the high frequencies. Does it have a beefy low end?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because that was one of the things that like kind of turned me off to some of these initial videos I saw. It just seemed like it was scratchy is not the right word, but like
I already recorded some stuff to insert into this
like
episode.
right here.
Insert sound here.
And we're back on that sound sample.
Yeah, like it got a big range on it. You know what I mean? Like, so the pitch can go down quite a bit. The filter can get pretty beefy. It has a comb filter also, which I've been utilizing to add some beef, I guess you could say. It's a multi-mode filter. Almost everything on the panel has like a secondary function if you hold shift. So you can get a lot of versatility out of this without needing to like menu dive or anything. You know what I mean? It's all like one level deep pretty much. You just have a shift function for almost everything. It has a resonator on it, which can get pretty beefy. Echo, reverb, just all kinds of shit. It has like an onboard modulation bus that you can select what you want the wave shape to be for the LFO, and then you can assign it to things. So you don't even really need external modulation with this thing. Like it's completely self-contained. I was getting some really interesting patches out of it that I just would dial in and then just leave run for minutes. You know what I mean? At a time, just letting it do its thing. It's just very deep and very straightforward to use, which is exactly what I wanted from a drone voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything has a modulation input, so even though it can be self-contained, it's definitely very much modular.
Can you trigger the way it records the stuff into a wavetable with a gate?
I want to say, yeah. I think there's a CV input for the record. I was just punching it in manually. Yeah, there we go.
Oh,
or
cool.
No.
Yeah, I would guess that's it.
Yeah, it also has a randomize everything function, which
I saw
can
that.
take
That's
a trigger
neat.
in. So I was playing with that a bit. But yeah, as far as recording goes, I was just hitting the record button. But yeah, it's CVable.
That'd be cool to sequence that. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of
octatracky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm digging that. That quickly jumped up to my number 2, squeezed in at the end of the year there.
That's
for
cool.
Me.
Nice.
Yeah. Plus, I'm glad to hear that it's a little bit more than maybe some of these YouTube videos, these early YouTube videos.
I honestly didn't watch any videos of it yet, except for DivKids, which he did a great overview of it. So yeah, if you want to know more, check out his video, I would say.
Or check out the next episode of Sysex Dumpster when you provide all of this great information.
Oh, one little thing I want to mention about it, which I thought was cool. If you crank the resonance, it doesn't just increase the resonance of the filter. It goes into this weird noise generator mode where it adds noise to the filter circuit. And then when you adjust the cutoff of the filter, it kind of downsamples this noise.
Weird.
So
Holy shit.
it's very interesting.
It's not just like self-oscillating. It's this weird.
Yeah, it's a unique. I don't know what the filter is based off. I'll dig into that next time, get more information. But yeah, so far there's just little things like that to it that I think make it stand out and add to its strength as like a standalone noise and drone box. Like sure, you can use this for clean shit and like a synth voice, but I don't think that's its focus or should be, personally. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to hearing more about this.
And I understood how to use it within minutes instead of
Nice.
trying to wrap my head around it for hours like fucking Strega.
Yeah.
And there's no stupid touch points.
Mm-hmm.
It's just dials and sliders. Lots of nice little sliders. Appreciate that.
New screen. Looks pretty straightforward in a way.
Yeah, so 2 thumbs up from me so far.
Excellent.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, for me, I recently
Take it away, Dave.
Give me the mic so I can take it away. This one I just talked about very recently, so I'm not going to dive into it too much. The Erica Synths Resonant Filter Bank.
Oh, yeah.
It fucking rules. I was alluding earlier to like it's a new module. It's 2024, but this as a thing, the Resonant Filter Bank as a concept isn't necessarily new. It's been done in the past. But I think this is great. Continuing to use the shit out of it, finding all kinds of just amazing little sweet spots and weird things that it does. And as I mentioned in the last the episode I talked about it, where I was like, oh, I don't know if the expander is necessary. I got rid of it, reclaimed that space in my rack. Don't miss it.
Oh, nice.
It's really 100% usable without the expander. So
Seems like it.
yeah, it was. That's really the only update I have, other than it continues to be great. Highly recommend getting it if you're even remotely interested in what you've seen or heard it do. It lives up to that hype. Super easy to use, super straightforward. Maybe skip the expander. But yeah, that's the tops for me. How about you, Nick?
Ooh, well, the tippy top then, the number one position. First off, fuck you, FedEx. This thing I got numerous packages over these dreaded holidays. UPS, Postal Service, everything on time. FedEx had this thing out for delivery for 7 days because they're a shit show. Waldorf Iridium Core.
Yeah, dude.
So there's some history with you and this.
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Okay. So wait, at this point, like, are you gonna just basically turn into a museum?
No,
Waldorf? No.
I'm actually good now.
Okay.
Like I have the
Really?
ones
Because I
want.
feel like you said it before.
Until
Yeah.
next episode.
I don't want the Blofeld. Like the Iridium Core is still tempting sometimes, but like, yeah, I mean, well, I did it. Like, what is pride anymore? I just don't need pride when I have the synthesizer in front of me. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Yes. So I did, in fact, take advantage of the deal that's still going on right now to get this thing for like $900 less than the list price.
Damn.
Waldorf Iridium Core. I figured I could try it. It was now or never, especially with tariffs.
How much does that cost then with that discount?
I paid too much still. You can get it right now at Juno for $1,200, which I didn't realize until a day ago.
Okay.
I paid $1,500 for it. The list was like $2,400.
Yeah, I mean,
it's expensive.
I think you and I have both been eyeballing this thing for years now, ever since we saw it at
NobCon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just drawing a fucking blank there. Yeah, and we got to play with it a bit, but yeah, that price tag has always kept me away from it so much.
Way too much. Never really.
$1,200 though.
$1,200. Yeah,
take that jump.
So
Maybe.
as soon as I saw it the other day, and I was like, "Ooh, I kind of want to return this right now and do it from Juno," but it's awesome. I remember playing the Quantum at NobCon and being like, "All right, this thing's huge. Like, it's a big keyboard. That's
too
even
much.
those are like $4,000.
Yeah, I know.
Or something. That's like crazy. This is the sweet spot to me. I would actually take this even over the desktop version, which is the bigger one that's like 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
You can get that from Juno for like 1,600 right now, which I didn't know, or I might have tried it. Kind of glad I didn't. Iridium Core is a really nice form factor. I think the way they did the user UX, the full version has ADSR envelopes for envelope and amplifier, bunch of oscillator controls that are dedicated. This is kind of like lopped off top section of it with soft knobs on the sides and below. I've lost hours playing the synth so far, just in the past couple days. It's one of those things that, like I was saying before, like I have those moments where I'm like, holy fuck, like this thing was totally worth it. Strong points. So it's dual timbral, meaning you have two voices, even though it's got one shared output, which is fine. I don't really care that much. Dedicate two different outputs would have been cool. It has two CVNs, which are really nice, actually. Very nice to integrate the modular, which is right in front of it, into that.
And these are assignable. They're not like hard set.
Yeah, anything. Assignable. There's a beautiful mod matrix. It works over MPE, which they added in the latest release, which is one of the things that sealed it for me. I was like, oh, this can do MPE now. I've got my push 3 controller. I route push 3 into Hapax, and I can, with one button, be playing the M or the Iridium core over MPE and recording those in Ableton or the Hapax, which is amazing. Sounds great. The best parts of it, the wavetable is good, but it is not like the M. There's almost no overlap with the M in my mind. The M has this crazy sound that still like raises the hairs on my arms that this doesn't necessarily as far as a wavetable device goes. Strong points are the FM and the way it's laid out. You get like, you can load DX7 patches into it. The way you edit the FM, which is like kernel synthesis, is really nice. It shows you like this module that has like coarse and fine ratio knobs.
Are they fixed operator paths and relationships?
No, totally flexible.
Oh, that's great.
You can design that however you want, essentially. It has a nice thing, though. It has presets for the synthesizer that's on board, but there are also templates. So you can just be like FM Bell. It gives you like a nice starting point that you can then go from. And that's been gold, actually. You can't ever change the templates. They're just there kind of forever. That's been really good. All the different oscillator types. It's got granular synthesizer in it that's polyphonic. That's really cool that I've been digging into.
Nice.
The coolest things are like the filter and the digital former. So it's all stereo, first off. So the two filters that you have are true stereo signal paths. And you can do things like change how those two filters link. And you can do things like with the Schwayman MMF1 where you can have it be dual peak and have the two different filters respond differently to CV control. You can set them to move in the opposite directions from each other under the same CV control, or do like ping pong behavior. The routing that you can do is kind of nuts. The digital former can also be a filter, but it can also be a bit crusher. That sounds amazing. It can also be, let me open up this thing I have here with all these different effects types. You get a drive that has different, like 7 different types of drive. There's PNP distortion, tube distortion, pickup distortion, diode distortion, crunch distortion, cuff distortion, comb filter plus and minus, ring mod. It has the filters from the Nave, from the PPG, from Largo, and from the Quantum, so you can load all those patches onto it and they'll still render like mostly correctly. It's got a lot in it. The way you can have that digital former filter be before or after the dual filters. Very flexible in how you can handle the filtering. I've seen some people complain about the filters and the quality of the sound. I think it's great personally. I even kind of like using it chaos pad wise and like dragging my finger on the filter graph on the touch screen. And it's got like kind of a almost span like representation of the sound that you can turn on behind it.
Yeah.
So you can see how it's affecting the actual signal. Sound quality is great. It sounds in a way almost similar to Ableton Wavetable, very high fidelity, crisp. Waldorf M's 8-bit wavetables. This you can actually load like higher res ones. It'll take like Serum wavetables. You can load those in. So it'll do like 2048 position wavetables. Envelope routing is crazy. And the way the mod matrix is nice. You can see as you trigger an envelope, even polyphonically, how it's traveling along. Like they have a dot that follows it down.
Whoa.
Which is really nice.
That's cool.
Man, they did a good job. Like, I thought it might be janky to edit it over the fuller versions, but it's not actually. And there's actually a couple cons with it. And one of them is that there's a slight lag in the potentiometers. If you let it alone for a second, or if you change to a different type, it's almost like they're smoothing or something picks up on it. Now, Gobbo's the one that mentioned this to me because Gobbo has an Iridium, but like I don't find it musically a distraction at this point. It's never as though like I can't change a control and there's like a jump that ruins a track or ruins a sound so far. That could be a little better. The tapping on the touch screen is not as good as an iPhone. You've got to put like twice as much weight into a tap and it'll register. That's one other maybe downside. And then the dual outputs. Other than that, it's all upsides. Even from the standpoint of not having as many controls, I have a Fader Fox EC4, which is just a bank of 16 rotaries, and you have pages of that. The moment I plugged it into the USB port on the back for controllers, which it has, which is really nice, like I don't think I'll ever disconnect it. Because any control you have, you can just tap on it and then drag over to MIDI learn and then turn the knob and it's mapped there for the duration of the patch. So it's ridiculously quick to just be like, oh, you know what? I do want an ADSR map to knobs. Like boom, boom, boom. Hook that up really quickly. It's there. Ridiculous patch storage, thousands of patches. It seems like the most modern version of the Waldorf stuff ever. Doesn't sound like much of the classic stuff in a way that I have, like the Pulse or there's not much overlap. I'm enjoying the fuck out of this synthesizer.
And how long have you had it?
Just a couple weeks.
Oh, wow. That's
in the past week since I got back from this trip, like I've used it pretty much every night for like a couple hours, and it's really easy to use. The learning curve is almost non-existent once you get over a couple things. I fucking love it. It's a perfect complement to the M. Yeah, cold dead hands. I can't see anything that's going to disrupt it now. I would have never tried it if it was still $2,300. That's for sure. I like the core format. If there was an M core, I would probably get that too. I don't need a bunch of knobs generally. If the interface for editing the screen is nice enough, I would much rather use this than edit on a computer screen with a trackpad. They fucking killed it. I think it's great. Yeah, really like it. It's already making its way into music.
That's amazing with how recently you got it.
Yeah.
Well, that's 2 years now, back to back, that your top pick is a Waldorf.
I do. And I think, we'll see if I break this one, but I think those are all the Waldorfs I want or can handle. Like a Waldorf Wave would be great.
Wait, can you repeat that slower so when we have to copy and paste it next year for the next thing that you get?
I don't think I'll buy any more Waldorfs unless they make an M core. Yeah, it's just killing it for me. I would love a Waldorf Wave, but those cost like $30,000 to $40,000, and those seem like a maintenance nightmare.
Right.
Fuck VanEck gear at this point. Not interested.
No, that's awesome.
But yeah, enough. People tried to convince me of this also to get an Iridium forever. It was always way too steep of a price, but figured it was now or never. And if I didn't like it, I could always sell it at hopefully not too much of a loss.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for between $1,200 to $1,500, that's hard to compete with. You know?
Yeah.
That's a lot of synth for that price.
Yeah, it is. It's got mini jack, MIDI, not a big issue. They give you converters. That's fine. Yeah, it's great. The MPE stuff, knowing that it was in there, that pushed me over the edge too. Because I do just love MPE stuff now. It's great.
I don't even know what that is.
It's just it just means you get modulators for each note.
Okay.
That's really it. And a control surface that lets you, like the Hawken Continuum is great at that. Because you get each touch sensor, you can change a note. So the way it works on push 3 is you have like an XY coordinate. So if I push up on a pad, I can assign that to a modulation, like changing wavetable is where I usually put it.
Gotcha.
And left and right will give you pitch bends.
Okay.
So I like that you can play it and it gets like this really watery like pitch thing if you do it subtly enough. I never expected to like it. And the moment I got push 3, I became kind of addicted to it.
Oh yeah, I remember you discussing MPE stuff with the Continuum.
Oh yeah, the
Egan Matrix.
Egan Matrix.
Yes, thank you.
Which they just released an update for that, but I still haven't dug into it too much yet.
Nice. That's a surprise.
It's my tippy top. Yeah, it definitely wasn't released this year. I think it came out in 23, like
close enough.
September, October. Yeah, but I love it. They nailed the small format.
Greg.
Yes.
What are we? Wait, do we go through all yours? You have
No.
one more. It's
have
hard to keep track because you're not using
2A.
numbers right.
2A.
We're on 2A.
Which is my top pick of the year.
Subnote, subfooter,
Yes.
1B.
Appendix C.
Yes.
This might be a little surprise. The Electron Digitone Mark II.
Shocked.
Surprise.
Yeah, I know.
So you had a Digitone in the past.
I have. I've
you
tried
did not click with.
I've tried every Electron black box, and I've not liked any of them. My favorite Electrons are still the bigger format ones and the older ones. The Machine Drum, the Mono Machine, and Rhythm. So I went into this not thinking I would enjoy it again, but I think they're finally doing something good with this box. It's on the right track, I would say.
So what's different about it from the Digitone 1?
I don't even remember. I didn't like the Digitone 1. I just remember that.
It's got the extra machines.
Yeah, I mean,
8
I have
bars.
a few notes here, but I can't remember what was or wasn't in the first one. I just know what is in this one, and it seems to work. Like, because originally when I bought the Digitone Mark 1 and when I bought the Syntact, I wanted it to be a digital drum machine.
Yeah.
And I felt the Syntact had too much shit that I didn't care about and not enough that I did. The Digitone, I felt like it just wasn't geared to be a percussion machine.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't jive with either of them. This feels like it's well suited for weird, glitchy digital percussion. You get 4 machines to select from, like you're saying, compared to what was in the first one. I
Just
think it was
one.
one, right?
Yeah.
You got the FM tone, the FM drum, wave tone, and swarmer. Essentially, I'm only using FM tone and FM drum. That's the only 2 machines I care about.
What is Swarmer, though?
It's like a super saw type of thing. Good for melodic stuff, but I have zero desire to use this thing in a melodic way.
Gotcha.
Or as a synth. This is like strictly a drum machine to me. The FM tone is a very flexible machine, and then the FM drum is a little more simplified, but it adds a pitch envelope and a few other small things. Wave folder, and it has a transient thing that you can adjust to make it more percussive. Overall, I feel like the drum mode should be a little more versatile, or they should offer more machines. That's one reason why this also wasn't a number 1 pick for me, is because while it's a step in the right direction, I do have criticisms. Right. FM is nothing new for Electron. It's existed in pretty much all of their fucking devices for 30 years now.
Yep.
So to release this box, which is supposed to be strictly FM, I feel like they could have tried a little harder for some of this stuff. Right. For example, why limit it to 4 machines? Like, why aren't the FM machines from the Model Cycles or the Syntact in here also?
I've not used the Digitone. My understanding was that there's not a lot of control over the FM, like operators and how they relate to one another. It seemed like it was really like a closed box of FM.
I feel like if you're using the FM tone, it's pretty versatile. You can adjust every operator, in any way that you want. You can adjust the algorithms. You can fine tune those.
But they are fixed algorithms.
The algorithm is fixed, yeah, but you can modulate the algorithm, or the classic pattern lock the algorithm per step if you want, or whatever, which is something I've been playing with a lot. So yeah, I think it needs more machines, because it is kind of, you're in the box. So if you're going to do that, why not have simplified machines, say like a FM hi-hat and crash machine, the type of shit that exists in the cheapest box they've ever released, the Model Cycles.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to me that those aren't in there. But that's just a minor complaint. The filters are nice. You have filter machines now that you can actually select, including comb filter machines. Very nice. Been getting a lot of use out of the comb filters. But again, it's like, why limit it to one filter?
Right. Yeah.
You know, like there's been so many instances already where I definitely want at least 2. But my biggest gripe is the modulation. They have 3 LFOs per track in here, which is pretty nice. You know, the first model didn't have that, that I can recall. But again, why limit it to 3 LFOs? Like, this thing is just begging to be modulated. I could easily see 6 minimum LFOs being needed to do some of the stuff that I would like to do. Or a modulation envelope under the modulation section would be nice, that you could assign to whatever you want. An overview of your pattern step modulations would be nice. You know what I mean? Because, like, due to the lack of LFOs, you have to start relying on the pattern locks, right. P-locks, and you have no way to, like, overview these once you have them set. You know what I mean? So you can do patterns up to 128 steps now, which is cool, and that is kind of accommodating for long, weird P-step setups. You know what I mean? To, like, really create complex modulations. But there's no way to overview this. There's really no way to adjust, like, slew between the steps, you know, things like that. I feel like that should be more versatile. So, yeah, some of my common Electron complaints still apply here, for sure. Like, even though they give you the 3 LFOs, it's still just not enough, in my opinion. And it's the same, you know, old LFOs that are in all the devices that they offer, so...
So with these limitations, I mean, is this something you see yourself keeping and using in the future?
I do. And for a couple reasons. I've been looking for an FM drum machine for a while. It does fit the bill for that. Like, I can't complain about it in that regard. I just wish it was more. I feel like it's too much to be crammed into their small black box format, but it's also not enough to warrant a bigger box format. And I think they need to find the happy medium there somewhere. Either release this as a bigger version that has more stuff, or I don't know, refine it better for a small box format. I'm really looking forward to when they finally have Overbridge available. Right. I think that'll kind of open this thing up a bit, and it'll be more interesting in that regard.
Can you open it up with, like, MIDI? Can you send, like...
I don't really fuck with MIDI, but yeah.
Okay, but, like,
you definitely can.
Would that be an option?
Sure.
To add some more?
Yeah, it does have a lot of MIDI functionality. I'm just not really big into MIDI. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I don't really want to have to...
I guess another way of asking is do you get the sense that they expect you to overcome their shortcomings? I
do. I feel like they've done that with every box from the jump, you know what I mean? I mean, even the machine drum, when you paired it up with the Commander, you know, took it to a whole nother level. It would be nice for once if they didn't rely so much on MIDI control to control this thing.
Or asking you to buy another Electron device to control their Electron device.
I don't know why they don't go, like you said, for like 6 or 8 LFOs or something like that, too.
I could easily see those being
It doesn't seem
useful
unreasonable to add that.
And if ever an Electron machine needed it, it's this one. You know, like, that's what really makes it shine, is you have these really awesome FM machines that you can sculpt however the hell you want, you know? And
I mean, that's the thing about, like, the humble quad operator that I love, and why it's so amazing is so much CV in for each of the operators.
Right.
And without that, I don't think it would be as even remotely interesting.
Right.
Without that capability. FM needs motion.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I also recorded some glitchy percussion examples to toss in.
Say, like, right here? Wow, Greg, those were great.
Those sound good.
But yeah, like, I don't know. I like it, but yeah, it confuses me, some of the choices they've made, you know?
Yeah.
It's stuff that already exists. Like, you've already built an FM, like, hi-hat machine that exists in 2 other devices that you released. Why wouldn't it be in your, you know, de facto end all
Right.
FM box, and to only offer 4 machines.
I still think that gets lost sometimes with a manufacturer when they're like, what do you think I'm trying to do here?
Right.
There's only so many paths to take, and any way you can help me get there a little more quickly is going to make me write a song a little more smoothly, potentially. I don't know.
Well, now I see why you're so down on 2024.
Yeah.
That was your top.
That was my top.
And there was so much waffling there.
Yeah, and it's just a revised box that had already been released.
Yeah.
It's a step in the right direction, but nothing really groundbreaking, in my opinion. But yeah, I can definitely see this becoming one of my go-to digital drum machines, and probably being used in my VCV rack patches a lot once Overbridge is out. If it's not just dog shit level latency like the Syntac was, but it probably will be. I don't know why I think it would be any different.
Right. History has proven otherwise.
Right.
Not proven otherwise. But I tried recently, actually, I updated my rhythm, even though I haven't touched the Electron devices in a while, and was fucking with the new Overbridge, and I didn't do any serious testing, but it seemed much better. I was like, well, you're just kind of working, huh? So maybe I've had some luck. They've had enough time, I would think.
That's the real puzzling thing with me, is they're still making these questionable choices. Electron has been around for 30 years now.
Yeah.
Not much has changed between the devices, you know what I mean?
Right.
You're still seeing the same things that you saw with a machine drum.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
think
kind
they
of
just
expect more at this point.
I think that it's just a completely different company at this point. Nobody from the OG Electron is even there anymore now. So I don't know if they're going to go the Native Instruments route kind of and fade into the distance. Maybe not, but
this is the first one that for many years now that actually felt like it's pushing the envelope a little bit or trying to. It's a push in the right direction.
I'll make a prediction. That probably won't come true. They've been teasing something more so than they have usually teased something. And I think we might this year get the substandard octatrack that everyone is they might do it this year.
Yeah.
It'll probably be a small one that's frustratingly neutered down.
Right.
But I think they're going to do something that covers some of that functionality finally. It's
I'm so not interested in
to.
that, though.
Oh, dude, I haven't even turned my octatrack on in a long time. Unless I would do a techno set, which I don't see happening, it's there's no point.
I can see a lot of other people being very excited about
that.
Though. That.
Oh my God, yeah.
The octatrack is referenced in these sort of hushed tones.
I would rather use a Polyend Tracker Plus at this point.
I'm sure.
No,
you know what I mean?
My excitement is basically at zero.
An octatrack to me was only ever really useful in I know a lot of people use it for techno and things like that, but for me, it was always okay, this thing is a breakcore box. You know what I mean? It's used to break beats and fuck up loops that you record into it, drum and bass style, amen shredding, all that type of shit. And yeah, I think at this point, a Polyend Tracker Plus would probably just totally fill that gap.
For us, yes. But I think there's a lot of people out there that it's going to scratch an itch that they've been.
What I want to see from Electron is what I've said many times now: a mono machine Mark II.
Not a new SID station. That's not what you're dying for.
I would fuck with a new SID station, maybe.
I was just joking.
But there's no reason. Well, see, the mono machine had SID machines in it.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah,
and I loved them.
Yeah.
I loved everything in the mono machine. I thought that was a near perfect box for its time. And why we still don't have a successor to that is kind of mind-boggling to me.
The ones they put in the rhythm update aren't bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. The SID emulations. They're good.
I never got to play with those.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
They caught my eye.
They're limited, but
yeah,
I liked it. It does what I would want out of that type of thing.
So that was your prediction. Craig, do you have a prediction?
For 2025?
Yeah.
Shit. Let me see if I jotted anything down. Don't think I did have any predictions. I think...
No, we're asking you on the fly right now.
On the fly?
No, just your gut response.
I think I'm not alone in that I'm probably a little bored and a little frustrated with the current state of modular.
Mm-hmm.
I think there will probably be a lot of people shifting gears, maybe not relying so heavily on modular and kind of hearkening back to desktop devices that are probably semi-modular or experimental and pushing the envelope a bit more than modular is right now. Also, I think these devices are probably going to be a little cheaper than trying to put together a big, massive modular that does everything and anything. So downsizing, I guess, is my prediction. I think people are going to shift their modulars to be more purpose-focused instead of trying to be a very versatile, do-everything type of rig. You know, I think they're going to have a more smaller focus and work with other devices more.
I paid for that Iridium selling modules, and I have no plans to buy anything this year. We'll see how that goes. You know, we've tried it before, but to be honest, like it's not where. I had no plans of getting new stuff outside of the, which I'll talk about next episode, is the Oberheim SEM clone that I pre-ordered from Paul like a month or two ago, but they messed up the black panels. So anybody who ordered black panel, has to wait another couple weeks, which is just fine. Yeah, I have no rush.
And my prediction for 2025
What's your prediction, Dave?
Greg, you're going to have the best year ever.
Whoa.
Like, this is going to be, like, you're going to come back and it's going to be, 2024 was like the doldrums, the bottom of the barrel.
Yes.
This is your, just fireworks are come shooting out of your head.
Whoa.
every time you move. It's just a rainbow just generated from somewhere. And you are the pot of gold at the end of that rainbow.
Very trippy.
Nice.
I like it.
Yeah. So that's my prediction for 2025. We'll see if it holds up.
Okay.
All right. I think that's it.
End. Fucking podcast.
Yeah, fuck this shit.